So that's what's happening. I think I'll put it on YouTube. I had a few people ask for some specific stuff, but they can't make it, and I thought, I'll just send it to you, right? So we'll see if we can work it in.
Yeah, no, whatever you want to do.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, just keep moving. That's exactly the secret. All right. I know that Tish was doing this as like a back class, and then you said that you just wanted to move more, right? So it's kind of your goals.
I don't like kind of rolling up vertebrae too much. There's certain parts that I just feel like,
Yeah.
doesn't feel comfortable.
I think rolling up vertebra by vertebra is pretty rough on a lot of people. It's, yeah. Okay. Bum, bum. Let's try.
When I had my massage the other day, last week or something, and my neck was kind of bothering me.
Oh.
This gal has been doing me for a long time, so she knows why I hurt me all. Yeah, you weren't kidding.
Was your neck bothering you from the class we did the other day?
No, I don't think it was that. It just certain things that you just kind of stiffens it up. It got frozen on me years ago. You know, when you can't turn.
Yeah.
That was the most painful thing I've ever been through. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Especially if you can't go that way. How do you check your blind spots and brush your hair? And yeah. That's rough.
It was like your body knew the pain was going to come, but you had to do it.
Yeah. You're like tensing. All right.
I really try to watch that.
Okay. All right, we're going to let our feet just settle here, shift a little bit right to left, front to back. If you can, let your eyes relax or close. Take a few deep breaths and see how it feels to be in your body right now. From here, we're going to let our shoulders shrug up. Your elbows and shoulders roll back, and then slow, maybe 3 or 4 count, they roll and fall down. Inhale, your shoulders roll up. It might take 3 or 4 counts to let your shoulders get to their ears or as close to your ears as possible. And then slow motion, your shoulders roll back and continuing to roll back and down. Letting your arms, your wrists, your elbows have a little bit more motion. Notice the front of your body. And notice if the front of your body is rolling a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. Or maybe your lower body might be turned to the left and your upper body might be turned to the right. Whatever you're feeling, see if you can move in an opposite direction of where you started. Breathe. Letting your hips take a small circle clockwise. And then reversing directions, noticing where your feet are pressing into the ground, your hips circling counterclockwise. Scan the back of your body and breathe through your entire torso. Working your hips back to center, your right knee bends, and then your left knee. Breathing your spine tall and long, your right knee bends. Your right knee straightens and your left knee bends. Your shoulders shrug up and down. Your left knee straightens, your right knee bends. Shrugging your shoulders up, back, and down. Both of your knees bend a few times, just equally seeing how it feels to scooch into the ball of your feet, into your heels, into your left and right side of your feet. Breathing, letting your hips guide the movement. Notice what your upper body is doing. Seeing where your hips might move a little bit bigger, your knees, your hips, your shoulders can breathe and move anywhere that feels good. And then reverse directions. Letting your hips move in some circles, your knees can bend, your shoulders can fall, your spine is long, your breath is easy. Scooching back to center, your right knee bend a few times, your left knee bends a few times. Your hands find your hips. Just notice where your hips go as you bend your right and left knee. Put all your weight onto your right foot. Your left foot lifts. You might lift all the way off the ground. You might just be on your left toes. As you breathe here, you're going to let your hips bend and straighten, rocking your pelvis. Maybe bend and straighten your right knee. This left foot might tap forward a little bit. This left foot might find your lateral side, your left side, and then your left foot, the top of your left foot, or the bottom of your left foot might find the floor behind you, and you're just going to scoot your hips forward and back a few times. Noticing where your left hip can fall. Letting your back leg stay straight. Your forward right knee bends a little bit, and then tuck your pelvis. Your hips shift a little bit right to left. Your breathing lengthens space through your torso. From here, your heart gets a little bit taller and longer. Your back leg is straight, your hands reach out. Your shoulders are relaxed. Your hands reach up, your shoulders relax away from your ears. Breathing, moving as it makes sense and feels good. Your hips might even move a little bit right to left, forward and back. And when you're ready, you step your back left leg forward and walk that out. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I can feel it there.
That's not too like vertebra by vertebra, right? That's more,
No.
yeah.
It's just when you move a certain way.
Yeah. So we take a little bit of a breath break, wiggle break. As you're ready, you're gonna let your knees bend a few times. And then take all your weight, awareness, ground into your left foot. Your right foot lifts. And we breathe here, just kind of noticing what's happening in your hips. You might reverse directions. Just scooch your pelvis forward and back, side to side. From here, your right foot might reach forward, it might be high or low, and see where your left knee can bend. If your left knee starts to kind of move in, you might just invite it to be straight or steady, letting your hip circle a little bit, standing on just this left knee. And then that right leg finds the side. You might bend a few times here. See where your hips can move in different directions. And we breathe. Your right foot lifts. It might find behind you. Just kind of see how it feels to let your forward left foot shift into the ground. You could roll your knee in or out. The bottom of your foot, exploring where it's pressing here. And your back right leg is long. It's moving away from the floor. And your hips just continue to play with moving up and down, side to side. You might take some big hip circles, reverse directions. Moving as safe, moving as fast as it feels safe. If in doubt, pause. Ask yourself if you're okay. You're gonna let that back right leg lift. Just exploring how you feel, and it finds your left foot, and you walk that out. Your feet are about hip width apart or wherever it feels good. If it feels good to be closer together or wider than your hips, you do you. Letting the base of your feet melt into the floor, and then here, you're just gonna let your hands find your heart. your hips start to settle, and you're just curiously seeing how it feels to let your feet press on the ground as you go low. You might just go an inch down. You might go really low, and just shifting, seeing how does it feel in the ball of your feet? How does it feel in your pelvis? You're just taking this really curious, how does it feel to be you right now? And then you're gonna let your body reach to stand. Breathing, your arms reach. Your hips move a little bit to the right, to the left. Your shoulders relax down your spine. You're gonna let your hands just bend as your shoulders relax. As you breathe here, you can see where your right foot is on the ground or your left foot.
Okay, the fingertips idea. Breathe out from your feet to your armpits. And your armpits pull your shoulders down to elevate your shoulders. You breathe. Curiously,
So we have studied this.
and if you need, find a wall, find something to keep you safe. Let your shoulders fall down.
Away from your ears. So you're really focusing on how much space you have from your ears to your shoulders down your spine. Your armpits are pulling your shoulders. And we breathe. Bring all your weight onto your right foot.
And we're really over here, so if we're on opposite right now.
Now that's because we switched. Right. Same where you can have lots of space from your shoulders and your ears. And then you're going to switch, putting all your weight on your left foot. We breathe. You can bring your weight to one side or the other, seeing where it makes sense to let
your fingers, your palms be together.
or apart, where your shoulders can melt down away from your ears. We're breathing a lot of length through our heart. Your right leg is just a steadying leg right now. As you breathe, your forward left knee can choose if it wants to be forward, back. We're just curiously breathing. And if you are anywhere else, just grab support if you need it. You can hold on to a wall, a couch, a kitchen counter, anywhere like that when you're at home. When you're ready, both of your feet find the ground, and we wiggle that out. How did that feel for you?
Okay, that's one thing, keep my balance.
The other one's like, I don't know about this. Yeah, so, all right, we're gonna just let our upper body have a little bit more of something. From here, you're gonna let your chin move in and out as it breathes in and out a few times. Just kind of notice where your shoulders are, where your clavicles are. Does one feel forward or rolled back? You're gonna slowly let your right ear find your shoulder, and then your left ear. These aren't really dramatic movements. You're seeing where you can have more length and space between your ears and your shoulders as you breathe into your belly. Letting your palms roll open, shrugging your shoulders up and down. Walk your feet as you need. You're gonna let your shoulders roll up and down one more time, and then your palms face your thighs, they face you. Big breath in and out. Letting your shoulders roll up, back and down. Twisting your wrists, bending your knees a few times, and just seeing how it feels to breathe. So we have this nerve, our vagus nerve, that goes through our center of our torso. And when we are aware of something in our upper body and our lower body at the same time, and we're in a space where we can kind of just be calm, it really helps your vagus nerve be on. As your palms reach out, you're going to let them roll up and down like you're working with like a doorknob, like you're turning a doorknob. Or if you had, I don't know, some nunchucks or something. What else would you do with this? Yeah. I don't think I've ever just hung out with nunchucks. Have you? Yeah. From here, we're going to let everything wiggle out and find the floor. As we find the floor, we're going to let our knees find the ground. Our hands are under our shoulders. We shrug our shoulders a few times. Do you want me to get you a different knee cushion? That's going to be okay? All right. Mm-hmm. From here, you're letting the balls of your hands, the base of your index knuckle, press into the ground here. Your thumbs are light. Your fingers are stretched away from each other. You're just going to shift your body weight forward and back a few times. Noticing, is your index finger rolled in to the center or out? Your middle finger on your right side, is it pointing towards the ceiling? Is it rolled in or out? Can you make little shifts in your hands, letting your ring finger, are the knuckles there pointing towards the ceiling or in or out? Maybe let your fingers spread out a little bit more. Your pinky, see if you can get your knuckles all facing towards the ceiling. And this is just a curious exercise. It's not that it's right or wrong. You're just kind of curiously seeing where you have to pull or ground in your hands. Breathing into your lower belly. Breathing into the base of your index finger. Bend your elbows and see if they both move toward your knees or if they move out towards your sides of your mats. Or does one elbow move out and one move down? See if you can get them to do the same movements with your hands pressing into the mat. Then let your shoulders be over your wrists. Your elbows can be as bent as you need, and your right leg presses back behind you, stretching into your right calf. Your right hip falls, breathing through that right leg. Grounding into your left hand, your right leg lifts. Your right knee bends, and your right ankle rolls laterally out. And then your right ankle comes in as your knee moves out. Maybe your right heel reaches towards your left shoulder behind you. That whole right leg might take a big circle. You could roll your leg in or out from the hip socket, exploring spacious movement. Letting your right hand press into the ground. Your left hand could reach if you'd like. Be doing some bird dog movements or just anything that feels good for you. We breathe. Breathing through your entire torso. You might even move through some cat-cow shapes. Your elbow and knees might meet. They might not. Your left hand might find your right heel. No pressure to do any of these things unless it feels absolutely good for you. We breathe. Your right knee finds the ground. Your left hand finds the ground. Rolling through cat-cow. You might even find a child's pose before we do the other side. We breathe. When you're ready, letting your hands and knees find the ground. Move through any tabletop shapes that feel good for you, and then you're going to let your left foot reach back behind you. Breathing length from your left heel to the top of your head, your shoulders, have space from your ears. As you breathe here, breathe into your left hip. Eventually, your left leg could reach and lift, and your left hip could fall. Letting your left knee roll in or out. Exploring how that feels in your hip socket all the way into your armpits. Letting your left knee roll out. And then in, moving slow, being patient. Breathing through what your body's asking for. Letting your core support you. If you can breathe into your hip sockets, breathe into your pelvic floor, being really kind and patient. And if your body's saying, no thanks, I don't want to do that, you could just put your elevated leg on the floor and just let your hips kind of roll side to side or be anywhere in these movements. There's no pressure to actually have that leg lift, just be in any variation. If your body's asking for more, you might let your left leg reach and your right hand reach. Really pressing into your left index knuckle. Continuing to breathe through whatever variations and shifts and movements your body's asking for. Length in your spine, lots of space from your ears to your shoulders. Your armpits are pulling your shoulders down. Your heart space is open. You're breathing. One or two more rounds of breath. And then letting your hands and your knees find the ground, your hips shift. You breathe through whatever makes sense for you. Letting your hands walk up about a handprint. And then your shoulders shift back. Keeping your hands really active here. We're almost going into puppy. Then your hips come forward, pressing into the base of your knuckles. As you work your way back to cat-cow, your hands might come forward a little bit more. And then your heart melts into puppy. Your hands can move out, or your heart can move, falling down. Lengthen your spine from your ears to your hips. Breathe into your lower belly, into your lower back. Breathe into your hip crease. Observe how it feels to have space and breath through the core of you, through your torso, expanding into spaces between each rib. Surrounding your heart into your armpits. Your neck is long. Do you feel more awareness on your right side or your left side? Do you need to make any micro shifts or movements? How does it feel to breathe through your right side? How does it feel to breathe through your left side? Is there anything you could do to shift and move through your body so you have more space, more length? As you're ready, we're going to slowly work our way back up to tabletop. Letting your hips shift a little bit right to left. If your knees need to come up or down to let your hips be even, explore how it feels to let your hips circle. And maybe reverse directions. As you're ready, you're going to work your way onto your seat. You can use a bolster underneath you for a seat, or you can just sit on a blanket. You could also just let your seat find the mat, whatever works best for you. As you're ready, you're just shifting a little bit side to see how it feels in your hips. Maybe invite your legs to be scooched underneath you. Your legs can roll in and out. And these are all just suggestions. So if you're scooching your legs underneath you and you feel like, one leg kind of wants to be out or in, just kind of, you do what feels good so that you feel like you're settling into your sit bones. Your knees can bend as you balance onto your heels. And then from here, just let your core get tall and long. Notice if you're balancing more on your right or your left hip. Then maybe shift a little bit to one side or the other. See where your spine can get a little bit taller and longer. Your shoulders can roll back. Your toes could point and flex as your core just explores how this feels in your lower back. You can stay pretty steady like this, or if you want, you could roll a little bit to one side. Breathing length and space in your spine. Letting both sit bones settle, letting both shoulders relax down your sides. Your spine is getting taller and longer and you're breathing spaciously. You might have a block underneath your back hand. Letting your spine move a little bit, like if it's almost going into a cat-cow, but you don't want to move a lot when you're twisting unless you're being super slow and just curious. So seeing where you can have as much space and length, imagining that each vertebra is repelling the one underneath it. And slowly unwind. Take a few breaths through your heart space here. Maybe let your legs relax for a second. Move through a little bit of cat-cow. And then as you're ready, your heels find the ground. You might let your legs kind of roll in and out a few times. And then letting your core get really tall. Your spine is long, and as you breathe here, you could stay just like this, or you might let your heart start to melt a little bit towards the other side. This turn is coming from your hips. So as you breathe here, there's lots of length and space to both hip sockets settling. You can use a wall, you can use many walls, you can hold on to anything to support you so you feel like your hips are settling underneath you, your spine's getting taller and longer. And any areas that kind of feel like a curious burny sensation, that's your connective tissues opening up. And just kind of, if it starts to hurt, then that's your body fighting back, and we don't want to move into pain. Curious sensation, mild burning may be okay, but pain we always back out of. Letting the inside of your hip sockets melt, your glutes melt, letting your pelvic floor relax, your toes point and then flex. Notice what's happening in your knees. Maybe just flex 1 foot at a time, point 1 foot at a time. Notice where your heart space has space. And as you're ready, your legs extend. Shrug through your heart, your shoulders. Maybe move through a seated cat. Your legs can roll in and out. Your legs can be as wide or as straight as you'd like. And sometime in the next few rounds of breath, we're going to fall forward. So just kind of see, how does it feel to have lots of space and length? And then exhale, fold. When you find your first point of resistance, that's your shape. You breathe, lengthen to your spine. And honor space and length more than twisting, more than bending. So if you're just sitting here tall and straight, that's great. As you're ready, we're going to slowly let our heart open. If your spine isn't straight already, we're going to let it get tall, straight, and then your hands, your fists can find your sides, shrugging your shoulders down away from you, letting your heart open. How does that feel? Breathing your heart open, breathing into your lower belly, your lower back. Your shoulders scoot to the right and the left. Breathing lots of space from your ears to your shoulders. You can bend your elbows or keep them straight. You can tuck your chin or let your head roll back, whatever feels good for you. When you're ready, you slowly roll out of the shape. Just doing whatever movements make sense for you. Your feet come together. As your feet come together, your hips shift really far to the right and left, so you're almost like tipping over. And then let your hips kind of work away from your heels. You could throw something underneath your knees if you'd like. You could hold your knees with your hands. Let your shoulders relax away from your ears. And just notice, do you feel like your heart is rolling a little bit towards your right side or a little bit towards your left side? Or is it just perfectly centered? You might tuck your pelvis once or twice and notice, oh, maybe my left hip is rolling to the left, but then my right shoulder is to the right. Or maybe everything's slouching to one side. And you're just curiously letting your upper body see how it feels to move right to left, come to center, forward and back. And notice where you feel easy mobility and maybe some resistance. And that's good feedback to just let you know what's happening in your body. Your hands can support your knees as you let your heart move forward. Your heart's open, shifting into your right side. Your left hip is really falling, melting. Heart comes back up, and then shifting to your left side, your right hip is really melting. Inhale back to center. See where your shoulders can shrug. Your heart falls back. And then find a place where you just feel like leverage or tensegrity, or just you're supporting yourself in such a nice way that your shoulders are relaxed, your hips are relaxed, and you're just balancing, breathing. And this is the easiest shape you've ever done. And the longer you're here, the more your spine gets tall and long, and you're breathing easily into your pelvic floor. Your face is relaxed. Your spine gets even taller and longer. Your clavicles are moving away from your ears. You're just in this perfect point of balance, seeing how much taller and longer your spine can be as your shoulders relax. Breathing. Your heart comes back up. From here, we're going to move into a pigeon or a swan shape. So you could either do this, like moving your body forward here, and you can have any supports that you'd like, or you can do this by laying on your back and just kind of doing a figure four. So if you're like, I know that I don't want to be doing a pigeon or a swan shape, then we're just going to let your body lay on your back. Your left foot presses into the ground, your right foot's crossed over, and your shoulders walk down your spine. As you breathe here, your heart expands, your shoulders melt. Pressing into that left foot, your glutes activate, and then relax. Pressing into that left foot, notice where you have space in your belly. Your right ankle or shin press into your thigh, pressing into your into your left foot. Your hips might lift a little bit from the ground, and your shoulders are relaxed down your sides, down your spine. Your face is relaxed. And you breathe, pressing into that left foot, seeing where you can have space and length supporting you. Breathing. When you're ready, you're going to let your hips settle. Breathing through all the corners of your back body, your shoulders, your hips. Breathing along your spine, seeing where your heart can expand and melt. Breathing into your lower belly, your lower back. Your left foot walks to the left. Enough that your right leg starts to follow. Your left foot might walk all the way to the left side of your yoga mat, and breathe. You can let your hips fall anywhere that they'd like. I think it makes sense to let your left and right knee fall to the mat. Breathing into your lower belly. Finding lots of space from your left hip to your left shoulder. Your shoulders might scooch a little bit towards the right. Activate anything that needs support. So you can activate your pelvic floor. You can move less. You might contract your glutes on one side or both sides. And as you breathe here, let your heart open a little bit. Your hips reach away. Lots of space and length throughout your torso. And then your left thigh starts to come back to center. Your left foot walks back into center. Your shoulders come back to center. And from here, you might let your hips just reach up once or twice. Both feet find the ground. You can walk your feet, lift your hips, find some little baby bridge movements. Your arms, wrists, hip circles, everything's just kind of unwinding. As we breathe here, your feet find the ground, and then we're going to let your left ankle cross over your right foot. Breathing your shoulders down away from your spine. Your right foot presses into the ground. Breathe. And on one side, you might feel like nothing else wants to happen. So as you press that right foot into the ground, your hips might not lift. Just breathe length from your shoulders to your ears. Breathe length between each rib. Your right foot pressing into the ground. As you breathe into your pelvic floor, into your hip sockets, and curiously see how it feels on this side. Do you need support? How does it feel to be in your body right now? Curiously pressing into your right foot, seeing how it feels to be here. As everything settles, your right foot might walk towards the right side of your mat. Your knees fall to the left side. And your shoulders scooch to the left or anywhere that it makes sense to feel safe in your body with your breath. You can contract your pelvic floor, do less, wiggle. Just see what feels right for you. Breathing. Sometime in the next few rounds of breath, you might start to slowly unwind and then windshield wiper back to center, or do any other movements, just slow motion for the next 5 to 10 rounds of breath. Just letting your hips unwind, exploring where you can have as much length and space from your ears to your shoulders. Your armpits are pulling your shoulders down your spine, down your sides. Both feet can press into the ground and your hips lift and you breathe. Letting your shoulders melt behind you as your hips lift a little higher. Pressing into the balls of your feet, your heels just barely elevated. And notice if you feel that more in your right or your left shoulder, your right or your left foot, the inside of your foot or the outside of your foot. You might let the balls of your feet kind of roll from the in to out. Notice what happens in your knees, your thighs, your hips, your core. Gently bend your right knee and your left knee a little bit, like you're fake walking. And then let everything melt, release here. Hug your knees into your sides. Breathing your ankles circle. Your knees come together and go wide. Melting your belly to your thighs. Finding a place where your body can relax and balance here. Just lengthen your spine. Your feet can be on the ground or your knees can be hugged up to your sides. And as you breathe here, you can breathe steady through your entire torso. From here, let your legs just move freely. One leg might straighten and the other leg might bend, and then they could switch. Your legs could be moving in circles, doing an air bicycle, or just feet find the floor and you lift your hips a few times, exploring how it feels to be in your body right now. From here, you're going to find your right side and let this bolster find your right side. So you're going to have this bolster find your right side here. Be close to your hips. Do you need any more pillows or anything? Okay. And as we get here, we're just going to let our right shoulder find the ground. Breathing both hips away from our spine. You might even take your top left hand and put that on your left hip or press your hip away from you. Breathing into your lower belly, your pelvic floor. Your legs might be stacked on top of each other, or you might have one leg forward or back. Whatever you're doing, just kind of notice where you landed. If you need more support, grab as many pillows, blankets, props, bolsters as you need to create whatever shape feels really good for you here. Letting your spine be really long as you lay on your sides. You could let both of your feet walk behind you and just kind of roll into the anterior belly, into your sides as your top left hand finds the ground. Breathing through your sides, letting this bolster kind of melt into your belly. Your shoulders are being pulled down your sides from your armpits. Your knees can bend or be straight. Your knees can roll in or out from your hip sockets. One leg could be bent, one leg could be straight. You're just seeing how it feels in that top hip to be where it's at. So your top left hand, your top left hip, kind of press into the floor and leverage towards and away from each other. From here, we're going to work our way onto our bellies, taking our time and then finding the other side. So taking your time might include hopping into child's pose or any other movements that your body is asking for and needs. Then you're going to roll into your left side. Letting that bolster create space near your hips, through your sides. Your left shoulder scooches down your spine. Your neck is long. Your right hand might be on your hip or pressing your hip away from your spine. And you breathe. You might just stay just right here. You might not move at all. You could just breathe here, breathing into your sides, maybe a little bit of your anterior lower left side. Breathing, observing. You can use your top right hand to find the ground or to stay on your sides and just see where it feels to let your spine open, breathing into your lower belly. Be really aware of your breath and how it feels to be in your body right now. Make any movements that feels authentic and good for you. Or you might just breathe into your sides, letting your sides open as you explore a little bit more space and length from your hips to your armpits. We breathe. Final breath or so, and then you're going to work your way back onto your belly. As you breathe your way onto your belly, you might take child's pose or any other movements to just kind of let your body see how it feels right now. Eventually, you're going to work your way onto your belly, your hips relatively out from your hip sockets, your hands to your armpits. If you need support under your lower back, you can grab a little blanket or a towel or a bolster under your belly, tuck your chin, and just imagine space and length between each vertebra. Notice if your right leg or your left leg feels a little bit longer, heavier, shifted, rolled in or out. No wrong answers, just what's happening. Breathe. See if there's any micro shifts that you'd like to make so that your knees might be rolled in or out in a space that's relatively symmetrical. Maybe let your hips shift so one is higher or lower and then about even. Your hands pressed into the ground, your elbows move down your side, tuck your chin, and then lift your hands, your feet, your head, breathe. You can let one hand or both hands find the ground to just create leverage and breathe into one belly space and then into the other. Imagining space and length between each vertebra. Exhale, letting go. Your hands find your elbows, your head finds your forearms. Breathe. Notice where you feel your breath. Your ankles might roll, your knees might bend. Sometime in the next few rounds of breath, you're going to slowly shift your weight or in your body onto your back. So you can slowly just see how it feels to move and breathe. We're going to do a few just easy movements and then find our way into Shavasana. Do you want any bolsters, blankets, or anything to... Okay. Take a few moments to just really observe how it feels to be in your body. We're going to be in some active meditation and breath work for a little bit, and then we'll transition into Shavasana. Noticing your eyes, letting your eyes just move around, roll up and down, side to side. Taking a few big movements. Letting your eyes relax. Observing your jaw. Letting your jaw yawn, stretch. You could suction your tongue to the roof of your mouth. See how it feels to have your jaw press away. Your tongue presses into the roof of your mouth. Breathing through your sinuses. Maybe swallow a few times. Letting your head turn a little bit to the right. Big breath in and out. Letting your head turn to the left. Big breath in and out. Being kind. Notice where your shoulders want to move back and down. Notice where your hips might want to shift a little bit right to left. Your legs could contract, your glutes could contract, and then everything could let go. And these are just awarenesses, suggestions, options. Breathing into your hip sockets, into your lower belly. If anything hurts, see if there's any movements or adjustments you could make to feel better in your body right now. Sometimes that's making yourself tighter, kind of contracting, breathing, squeezing in, holding yourself, and then relaxing as much as you can. And if your body needs a little bit of guard, then give yourself support wherever it needs it. Breathe into your edges. And be patient and kind as you observe. We'll take a few deep rounds of breath. Letting your body release and let go with every breath. Noticing that whatever you notice in your body, you just start to naturally relax, release, and let go. As you observe your arms, shoulders, and elbows, they relax and release. Your heart, your throat, and jaw let go. And you notice your entire upper body feeling spacious and at ease, well supported anywhere you need it. Bringing awareness to your heart space. Your solar plexus. The space just under your ribs, the top of your belly, and then down into your belly. Noticing your gut, your lower back, your hip sockets. Where is your breath naturally releasing and letting go? How does it breathe? How does it feel to breathe through your right side and your left side? Noticing your entire spine, torso, from your skull, behind your eyes, down your neck, throat, between your shoulders, behind your heart, to your mid-back, to your lower back, to your hips and sacrum. Noticing your hips, your glutes. Just noticing where your awareness drifts. Wherever it goes, you observe yourself naturally relaxing, releasing, and letting go. Noticing your body breathe. Noticing how it feels to be alive in your body while also relaxing and releasing a little more. Where can you relax and let go? And where in your body do you need just a little bit of support as you breathe and support yourself and curiously observe? Seeing where else you can relax and what you notice as you continue to breathe and let go. Gare Name, Jakar Gare Name, Sat Gare Name, Sati Guru, Deve Name, Ar Gare Name, Jakar Gare Name, Sat Gare Name, Sati Guru, Deve Name. Ar Gare Name, Jakar Gare Name, Sat Gare Name, Sati Guru, Deve Name. As you're ready, take a deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. And just listen to your body. Notice where your body's at. And sometime in the next minute, we're going to work our way up into an easy seated shape. Give yourself the support that you need. Move at the pace you're ready for. We breathe. Thank you for practicing today. Yeah, namaste. How are you feeling?
I think I almost fell asleep.
How does the floor feel when you lay on the floor? Is that okay for you? Or is that hard?
I mean, it's hard, but I prefer a little bit more on the hard than the soft.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, it doesn't bother me. It's just, kneeling on the knees.
That's a rough one.
Floor part.
Totally.